Venice. What a wonderfully different and achingly beautiful place. It is the city in the middle of the sea. There is nothing quite like it on this earth. The wealth and dominance of Venice grew in large part from its location on the shores of the Adriatic Sea. The city stretches across 110 small islands in what was a marshy lagoon in northeast Italy. For hundreds of years, Venice was a powerful city-state. Its dominance of Mediterranean commerce made it the most prosperous city in Europe. Today, its influence and brilliance have long since faded, but it has found a new role as a place of pleasure and delight. Venice has become Europe's most sparkling tourist attraction. People now come from all parts of the world to see the beautiful sights of Venice. One of the most desired experiences is to glide in a gondola along a Venetian canal. The gondolier astride his graceful craft is an immediately recognized image of this charming place. This classic boat has been used for centuries by the Venetians. Now it is mostly used for the pleasure of visiting tourists. Another image that is recognized widely is the Piazza San Marco. It is one of the most famous and beautiful squares in the world. Elegant cafes have tables set outside and grouped around their orchestra podiums. This has been a place of enjoyment since it was first created in the 9th century, and where ever since celebrations and festivals have been held regularly. The square is enclosed on 3 sides by stately buildings, originally designed as residences for officials of the church and state. The famous pigeons of the piazza still flock to the square to be fed and to be photographed. Visitors love them, but they are a source of despair for those in charge of conserving Venice's buildings. The square fronts on the 2 most important buildings in Venice, the St. Mark's Basilica and the Doge's Palace. The Basilica of St. Mark is the most important church in Venice and its most splendid building, with superb Byzantine mosaics. The basilica was founded in 832, and it raised the prestige of the city as it claimed to be the resting place of St. Mark. An interesting feature is that pieces of ancient buildings were brought from faraway lands and added to the basilica. The building is adorned with impressive sculpture. Prominent is the winged lion, the symbol of St. Mark. Entering the church, the scene can be overwhelming. The glimmering interior of St. Mark's is one of the great sights of the Christian world. The whole building is encased by marble below and splendid mosaics on a gold ground above. Its exotic and mysterious appearance is unlike any other Roman Catholic church. The glittering facade of St. Mark's Basilica dominates the vast expanse of the square before it. The basilica's Byzantine architecture, replete with mosque-like domes, reflects the days when Venice was the gateway to the Islamic world. Standing next to the basilica is another astonishingly beautiful building, the Doge's Palace. The facades are wonderful examples of florid Gothic architecture. It was within these walls that the elected Doge or Duke and the Grand Council administered the business of this city-state. When at its zenith, it was a major maritime power. Today, thousands come to view the great art and treasures that were accumulated over the centuries and are now a part of the glory of Venice. Justice was also meted out here, and it was across this famous Bridge of Sighs that prisoners took their last look at Venice. Adjacent to the palace, Venice's bell tower rang out the start and end of each workday for 1,000 years. It suddenly collapsed in 1902, but was quickly rebuilt to continue its timely duties. From the broad quay in front of the Doge's palace, there is a picture-perfect view of the waterfront. For the visitor, it is almost a surprise to come upon small squares and narrow streets within the city. One quickly discovers that Venice is not a Hollywood set, but it is a working community. In fact, the old city has a population of 270,000. Inviting little shops seem to appear around every corner, offering an array of tempting items, from jeweled masks to objects made from the sought-after Murano glass. One doesn't have to travel far to be reminded that this is a city of canals. Every service, from sightseeing to the movement of goods, must be done in boats or on foot. The canals are the veins through which the city's lifeblood flows, but the unique beauty of these waterways and bridges are subjects that continue to be loved by artists and photographers. The subject which attracts the greatest attention is the Grand Canal. It is the main thoroughfare of Venice. 2 miles in length, it divides the city into 2 equal parts. Its banks are lined with luxurious century-old buildings with ornate Renaissance-style facades. For residents, this is the city's main street. Water buses and crafts of all sorts scurry back and forth, as everything, both people and produce, must be transported by boat. Throughout its length, only 3 bridges cross the canal. The most universally known as the Rialto Bridge. Ornate in appearance, it has stood since 1591. At the time, its design was so radical that authorities predicted its ruin, but it has defied the critics to become an architectural icon of Venice. At every turn, we're reminded that nothing here has changed for centuries. Most of what we see today is exactly what was seen by Venice's most famous resident, Marco Polo. When the end of the day draws near, the beauty that surrounds us takes on a romantic hue. As we bid farewell to this place, it will remain in our memory as a majestic monument to wealth, grandeur, art, and timeless beauty.